Hi guys, Echo Mike here. Thank you so much for watching. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, and this is going to be an interview with my friend Tom over at Prepared Pathfinder. Now, Tom and I shot this interview while filming together, and what I did was I asked him all of the common questions that you guys in the community have. So it's a shorter video, but I know you guys will enjoy this one, so grab your tea, grab your coffee, and enjoy. Alright, so I've got Tom here, also known as Prepared Pathfinder. Tom's an absolute wealth of experience, and I'm going to ask him some of the questions that are really prevalent in the tactical community. But before I do, Tom, what's your background so the guys out there can know?
Okay, I served for 25 years regular army in the British Army in a parachute regiment. Most of that was in Pathfinders, which is quite a high-level reconnaissance unit. I also served for another 8 years in the reserve battalion in a parachute regiment. Deployed 7 times operationally in Northern Ireland, Kosovo, Macedonia, Iraq and Afghanistan. Experience-wise and specialities, I'm a forward air controller, jungle warfare instructor, weapons instructor, and I've done 4,500 jumps, including lots of Halo and Hey-Ho too.
Fantastic. So, obviously an absolute wealth of experience, guys. Recce and lightweight reconnaissance stuff is a huge topic, and Tom is definitely an expert in that field. So some of the top questions we ask is, how much ammo should you carry, and from your experience, how much ammo would you carry on operation?
Okay, so depending on your role would dictate how much ammunition you carry, and that's laid down by SOPs, standard operating procedures. In an infantry battalion, the normal load is 6 magazines plus a bandolier of 5 magazines in a pack. You'd normally also carry at least 1 HE grenade and at least 1 phosphorus grenade, and that could be, upped depending on your role. Then you've got things like support weapons ammunition such as GPMG, 7.62 Link, 66 anti-tank weapons, javelin rounds and mortar rounds that have to be shared within the platoon as well, so that gets carried in your assault pack. In a reconnaissance role then, weirdly, conversely, because everyone thinks that recce's light and fast, that's not the way. When you're a reconnaissance soldier, you've basically just got yourself and your buddies to rely on. You've got a 6-man patrol quite often, and that is it. So the reason why you carry more ammunition is because you've got to get yourself out of that contact with no support from anyone. You may have air, you may not. So we were carrying 10 magazines, and that had to go in your fighting order. So for example, this chest rig I've got on here has only got a capacity of 6 magazines. Yeah, you could use these, but then you've got no space for anything else. So I find, well, most of us found when I was in Pathfinders in a reconnaissance role, that belt kit was the way to go. You've got far more capacity for magazines. So for this fighting order here, this is a great bit of kit for crossfire. 3 magazines per pouch, 4 pouches, so 12 magazines potentially carried. So something like this is great for this kind of role. We were also carrying 2 HE grenades and at least one white or red phosphorus grenade as our ammunition loadout. Obviously with a recce patrol then you're not going to be carrying the support weapons ammunition, but you may be carrying belted ammunition for either an LMG or a GPMG, so 5.56 or 7.62. But your actual personal load of ammo was quite heavy, it's quite a lot, 10 magazines is quite a bit. And it needed to be all bombed up, all in magazines, all ready to go, because if you ever did get into trouble, then you haven't got time to sit there replenning magazines. It has to be good to go, ready to go in a contact situation.
Fantastic. Yeah, guys, you go out the range, load 10 magazines, shoot at what you'd feel like would be an engagement fire rate, and you go through that very, very quickly.
Absolutely,
so there you have it, 10 magazines. Another popular question is, how much water should you carry in water carriers? I know camelbacks and Nalgene bottles are popular.
Yeah.
What do you recommend? How much water and what type of carrying equipment for that?
Okay, so again, water's difficult to carry in something like this. I mean, I've got 2 water bottles here, but then that means I've got no space for anything else. You need to be carrying med kit on you, escape kit, etc., etc. So again, the belt kit we always found was better for carriage of equipment if you're on a long-range reconnaissance patrol. And we always carried 2 litres, so 2 standard British Army water bottles on our belt kit, definitely. Tended not to carry anything in an assault pack unless it was in a very hot environment, like Afghanistan or something like that. So then we may carry an extra water bladder or a camelback or something like that. I found though that camelbacks aren't as dependable as water bottles, and we tended to use the issue water bottles because they're robust, they last a lot longer, and also you can use them in a CBRN environment as well, can't you? So camelbacks, I tend to I possibly would put one in a rucksack, a big, Bergen. So if you had a long infill into an operation, then you've got the option of drinking without having to get your water bottles out. But generally in fighting order, I just use issue water bottles for the reasons I just said.
Fantastic. Another huge debate in the community is Americans love their chest, their body armor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys out there that say, I don't want to get shot in the chest, I'll die, therefore I have to wear body armor on my recce patrol. My response to that is always, well, go out and patrol for 3 days with a plate carrier, and you'll drop those plates very quickly and wish you carried more ammunition and water. So when it comes to body armor over a chest rig or belt kit, what's your preferred load-bearing equipment?
For load bearing, I mean, generally, and I'm wearing a chest rig here, but this is just to try new things out and stuff. But for load bearing, like I've mentioned before, is a set belt kit's generally the way to go for recce soldiering because it's got the load bearing capacity. You can still wear a plate carrier. It's just that we used to wear them slick pretty much with maybe just an admin panel or a first aid kit on it, but nothing else really. So you could wear as this young man is here, but with a plate carrier on. But when you get if you get a plate carrier and then start plastering pouches all over it, it's okay for mobility operations if you're in vehicles and stuff. But if you're patrolling, you haven't got the load carrying capacity that you really need for long range patrolling, and also going prone and trying to take a shot, accurate shots from a prone position with loads of pouches over your front like this, it's really difficult. And as you can see, Echo Mike here is basically clean on his front. He can get as low to the ground as humanly possible and actually still take, aim shots, accurate shots. And when someone's shooting at you, that's what you want to be doing. You want to be getting as low as possible. You don't want to have this turtle kind of configuration where you're balancing on a load of gear on the front of your body. So yeah, we found that if you're wearing body armour, you can still wear it with a belt kit. And when you're doing reconnaissance, yeah, you're probably going to have to wear it for like the duration of the operation. But if you're really going in close, if you're doing a close target reconnaissance, then you probably ditch it because you need to be kind of light, mobile, and have the best movement you can to kind of be silent and stealthy.
Fantastic. Another question, or to finish it up, would you say from your experience, you're also a bushcraft instructor, you spend a lot of time teaching civilians now, would you say that the average normal Joe person overestimates the amount of gear they can physically carry? So would you say they overload packs?
Absolutely.
They overload webbing?
Yeah.
So what do you recommend if people are getting out there, how do they mitigate that weight,
Yeah, I mean, it's a slightly different thing talking about civilians doing survival and bushcraft and stuff, or just getting out in the hills, which is great, it's awesome, do it all the time, to a soldier, because soldiers have to work off standard operating procedures, as I've mentioned before, where you don't have the option of just choosing what you want. You have to carry this amount of ammunition, you have to carry this amount of water. It's laid down in your SOPs, the same as body armour and so on and so on. If you get the option to then drop weight, there's various areas where you can do that if you're doing that, in a more elite unit where they get the option to do it, and also if you're just doing it off your own back as a civilian, there's loads of different ways of doing it. Sleeping bags, I always take the lightest sleeping bag that's going to work for the environment I'm working in. I don't always just take the big, massive bouncing bombers, we call it in the UK, on every time I go out because they take up so much space. So I'll take a small down sleeping bag that I know works because I've used it so many times in different environments and it still keeps me warm. The downside is, no pun intended, the downside to a down sleeping bag is you've got to be very careful in keeping it dry. So you have to be more careful with your gear. Water's heavy, as we all know. I don't carry any more than 2 litres any time I go out, even if I'm out for a week. So what I do is I filter my water, refill my water bottles out of streams. But obviously very careful when I do that because you can catch some nasty diseases. So making sure you're high up on hillsides, making sure you're recce ahead of the upstream to make sure there's no dead sheep in there, that sort of thing. Clothing, you don't need loads of spare clothing. When I go out, all I take is a warm piece of clothing, whether that's a fleece or a puffer jacket, a spare t-shirt. The reason why I carry a spare t-shirt is not because I want to stay nice smelling. It's because if you're sweating all day, when you go in your sleeping bag, you need to have a dry layer on. Or it could be raining, you could get wet from the rain, so you need a dry layer when you're sleeping. The only other thing I carry, apart from a waterproof jacket, which isn't like spare clothing, it's protective clothing, is socks. I tend to go for one pair of socks a day. It's really important to look after your feet. Super important. If you're on your feet and you're moving across hills, mountains, or in a military environment patrolling, you don't look after your feet, then you're actually done. You're absolutely knackered. You need to change your socks as often as you can. Obviously not twice, 3 times a day, but when your feet get a bit manky or a bit wet, you need to change your socks. You need to look after your blisters. You need to powder your feet. Because if you don't do those things, you'll be inoperational. You're not going to be able to operate.
Fantastic. Well, that's all I got for you, but guys, hopefully that answered some questions or things that are common in the community from, again, someone who's a wealth of experience and can share information with you guys. If you want to follow Tom, that's a Prepared Pathfinder, and there's tons of bushcraft and training. Any ending notes?
So I'll do that bushcraft training and survival training, navigation training. I'll do it through a company called First In Events. So First In was the motto of the Pathfinders that I serve with. That's why it's called that. So I've got a website there. We'll put the link into.
Fantastic. Tom, thanks again, mate.
Thanks.
Pleasure having you on.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.
So there you have it, guys. A little interview that I did with my mate Tom, and he's a wealth of experience. Prepared Pathfinder on Instagram and YouTube to find him and his company First In Events if you're in the UK and wish to train with Tom. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, look after your mates, look after each other. Lots to come on the channel. Right now I've been working like crazy, going all over the country for my full-time job, which does limit what I can do at home, but luckily next month is looking a lot freer, so I can up the projects. We've got tons of stuff already filmed for you guys and a lot planned as well. The channel is growing, and do expect a website and more community events in the future. I would like to plan something with you guys. Again, follow me on @EchoMike_training on Instagram for more of that, but I will be posting on the community also. Alright guys, I'll see you on the next one.